Hi, I'm Sarah Brzezinski, the Outreach Coordinator at the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory. Today I'll be hosting an interview with one of our young alumni, Alex Atkinson, and we'll be learning a little bit about why she chose to study at the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory, how her career has developed, and how she hopes it continues to develop. Hey Alex, how are you doing today?
Hi, Sarah. It's good to talk with you.
It's great to catch up. So Alex, do you want to introduce yourself to us? Where are you from?
Yeah, sure. My name's Alex Atkinson, and I'm originally from outside of Chicago. And I went to school in upstate New York. I did my undergraduate at the University of Rochester. And then I took a year off and I ended up down in Maryland at CBL.
And what drew you to study at the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory?
Well, I had reached out to my advisor, Dr. David Secor, because I was interested in his research. I had checked out his website and saw that he did research on fish ecology, and I was really interested in learning more about, projects that he had available for a graduate student to be involved in. And he had funding for to support a graduate student and the space for a master's student. And so we had kind of communicated, and I was really interested in getting involved in his lab's research. And so that was kind of what drew me to CBL, was the fisheries focus and the advisor that I found.
And within fisheries science, your thesis research focused on Atlantic menhaden, right?
Yes, so I did a project looking at juvenile Atlantic menhaden within a tributary of the Chesapeake, so over in the Choptank River on the eastern shore. And we were looking to see if we could measure and try to do some testing to see the influence of temperatures on these young menhaden as they're growing and maturing in Chesapeake Bay.
That sounds pretty cool. Menhaden are definitely popular and hotly debated species in the Chesapeake. So it sounds like you had some potential real applications for your research.
Yeah, so that project was definitely one of several projects that are looking at the basically the low recruitment of menhaden and trying to identify potential causes of that recruitment, given that it's a really important fishery in the area.
That's great, Alex. So can you tell me, is there anything that stands out about the graduate experience that you had at the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory?
Yeah, I would say that CBL is a really small, close-knit community. And so that was definitely one of the things that attracted me to the lab. Although it's part of the broader University of Maryland system and the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science, the lab itself is relatively small and filled with experts on a huge variety of topics. And so it was kind of neat to get to be involved in a really close-knit community of graduate students and advisors and researchers, and just be exposed to a lot in a really great supportive community down in Solomons. I'll just note that one of the great things I was involved in being at CBL and being in the Secor lab was weekly seining right in the backyard in the Patuxent River. And that was a really, really cool experience to both gain skills of field work and how to use different techniques in the field, and just to get to see the species composition change right there at the lab, just every day where you walked by. We did that from April to October each year on a weekly basis. So it was a really cool, just mini science project that I got to be involved in at the lab. We saw everything from rays to seahorses to pufferfish to striped bass to menhaden, and it's a really neat project.
So Alex, how has your education helped prepare you for the career that you're pursuing, and what career path did you choose?
So I currently work for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and I work for an office that does habitat conservation work for fish. So the path that I got to get to that point, following my graduation from CBL, I did the Knauss Marine Policy Fellowship, which is a fellowship through the National Sea Grant Program. And that allows students and recent graduates to gain exposure to the science and policy world, primarily based in Washington, D.C., at a variety of federal agencies across the area. And so I did my fellowship, a year-long fellowship experience at NOAA in the office that I currently work in. So that's kind of how I ended up here. In terms of the first part of your question of how my experience at CBL prepared me for my career, I mean, there's a lot there, right? So I got both the technical, the education side and learning all about fisheries science and management. But I would also say that, doing a master's, research project, you learn a lot about both the scientific process and the technical side of things, but also just about how to do that type of work. And then also kind of about yourself, about how you work and kind of what skills and strengths that you have. So I would say all of that has helped me get to where I am today. I think communication has been like a huge part of something that I've really seen a lot of the value in, and opportunities to communicate your research at the lab and as a student really helped me in my position now. I work in a headquarters office, so I'm doing a lot of communicating with field offices and with folks all over the country. And so the communication is a really, really important part of what I do now.
That's great. And so, Alex, what is your current job title within NOAA, and what sort of things do you do in support of that position?
So I'm a policy analyst in the Fisheries Service Office of Habitat Conservation. And so like day-to-day work, I help support two programs that are both focused on different elements of restoring and conserving fish habitat. So I support on one side of my work, I support a national partnership where NOAA partners with states and tribes and other federal organizations and nonprofits to work together to work to restore fish habitats across the country. And then the other side, I work a little bit with helping to ensure fish passage for fish above barriers. So thinking about river connectivity and fish that swim between river habitats and ocean habitats, and making sure that those habitats are available for them, since they're really important for completing their life cycle.
It sounds like there's a cool diversity of work in what you get to do in terms of getting to work with different stakeholders. And, it certainly seems like you feel like you have an impactful position, which is always nice. Alex, what do you think someone who isn't a scientist would find particularly interesting or surprising about your career?
Like I said, I sit in a headquarters position. So a lot of people, when they hear I work for NOAA, they think I'm on a boat out in the field all day, but really I'm at a desk, doing a lot of work to help support those, those efforts out in the field. And so, day to day, I'm doing a lot of coordinating with folks. So I do a lot of communicating with folks, both inside and outside the agency at NOAA. And, I'm helping to support things like funding and make sure funding gets out to those projects to restore fish habitats and ensure fish habitat is preserved or restored. I think, it's really surprising, I think, to learn how big of an agency and how, NOAA covers so many different things. The fisheries service is just a small part of NOAA, and things like the National Weather Service are in NOAA. And so I think sometimes folks are surprised to know the breadth of things that we work on. It's a really important agency for science and stewardship advancement.
Oh, I absolutely agree. So Alex, as your career continues to develop, where do you hope that you'll be in, say, 10 years?
That's a tough one. That question doesn't get any easier to answer over time, I don't think. I've really, really enjoyed my time working for NOAA so far. I've been with NOAA for about 4 years, and I can see myself continuing in that work. And maybe there could be opportunities in other parts of the agency, but I've really, really enjoyed getting to tell great positive, happy habitat stories. And, my passion is obviously, with the fisheries side, and there can't be any fish without any habitat. And so, the work that we do is really critical and important for maintaining sustainable fisheries.
It's wonderful that you're really getting to pursue your passion. When you were a kid, how did that passion start out? Were there any experiences that sparked your interest in environmental science or fishery science in particular?
Yeah, so I grew up watching a lot of Discovery Channel and, shows about science and the ocean has always kind of drawn me in. And I've always had that fascination. And I think I would say that the really solidifying experience for pushing me toward, a career and studying science was when I was scuba certified. So I got my scuba certification in high school and I had an opportunity to dive in some beautiful Caribbean waters. And as soon as I was like fully immersed in that world, that just totally did it. I just, it's such a fascinating ecosystem and there's so much that we don't know. And it really did drive me to pursue a career and study science and, continue to learn more about such a really complex and interesting ecosystem.
And is there any advice that you would give a child today who's interested in pursuing a similar career or a career path in science, technology, engineering, and math?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say my advice would be to just explore, if you have an interest in a subject, go find out more information, learn about it, ask your teachers, ask your, family and friends what they know about it. And, for those folks who are maybe getting into their high school and college age, I would encourage people to pursue volunteer opportunities, whether it be with, a museum or any places in your community that, you are excited about and want to get that experience. Just getting a variety of experiences, I think is really, really important. So any place you can do that, whether it's volunteering or, pursuing an internship, those are great ways to kind of test drive a subject and test drive maybe like a career path that you might be interested in. And I think just exploring what those opportunities can bring is really critical and can be really helpful in shaping your career.
That is excellent advice. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It was great catching up with you today.
Yeah, it was great to catch up, Sarah. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. I hope you have a nice day. Thank you, Alex, and thank you everyone for joining us.